to your house and you find another man coming from your bedroom, at the end kutembea tu. Unafikiri hiyo kitu ni rahisi?
A culture of intolerance. Is Kenya going back to the dark ages? Not so immune, worrying signs for Kenyan delegation in The Hague. A looming food shortage. Where did the rain start beating Kenya?
Say it loud. Ambassador Orie Rogomanduri.
And yes, you guessed it, your guest anchor for the night is on standby. And Friday briefing. As you can see, I'm already mandalized.
For life.
For life?
For life. This is how it has to be now.
Are you excited to be here?
I am. It is lovely to be here and to be near the beautiful Betty, the legendary Betty. But as you can see, I've done some improvement here, for which I think everybody will say is a great improvement.
All right. We'll wait and see tonight. You look dashing.
As usual, you're just divine.
Oh, you are divine.
You are divine.
You are divine. All right, we'll have a smoking show with Ambassador Orie Rogomanduli, who's going to be joining us in just a short while as a guest anchor. Do you think you'll deliver that news piece to Kenyans in the best way possible?
To the extent I think they might suggest I stop farming and just anchor news.
All right. I'm fearing for my job.
We'll protect it. But then I can teach you the ropes in farming. It's not so hard. Just a question of putting your mind to it.
Putting your mind to it.
Absolutely.
I'll also teach you a little something about anchoring.
On anchoring.
Yes. I am, Ambassador. Just have a seat there.
Thank you.
Coming to you in just a short while.
Thank you.
Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Right. We begin with the outrage that has greeted the eviction of British diplomats from an Eldoret hotel. The British High Commission says the officials were kicked out despite prior communication with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The incident has reignited conversations about political intolerance that marked Kenya's recent past. And as KTN's James Smart now reports, analysts say it could take Kenya back to the dark ages.
21st September 2007 in Kisii, an ODM rally turned chaotic as chanting youths grew impatient with William Ruto and James Omingo Magara. What happens will go down history as arguably the country's most vivid picture of intolerance. Deputy President William Ruto on the heels, running away from a crowd that didn't agree with his political view at the time. The culture of intolerance was alive and well in Kenya.
Is the height of barbaric and colonial mentality, which we as a people in Kenya are prepared and ready to pay the price to get rid of.
Fast forward, Friday, 22nd November 2013, and 5 years later, it is not William Ruto who is now the deputy president, a victim of the intolerance, but in his backyard, yet another demonstration of divergent views not welcomed is on display. British High Commission officials were on a routine visit to discuss partnerships between the county of Uasin Gishu and the UK. But there was a problem with this routine visit.
If you are a man and you go to your house and you find another man coming from your bedroom, at the end kutembea tu. Unafikiri hiyo kitu ni rahisi? This is what these guys are doing for us. They don't respect us at all.
Apparently, the British High Commission officials failed in one cardinal rule and duty, and that's to inform the governor of Uasin Gishu, so they claim.
It's procedural that when diplomatic officials come to go to another government, they have to pay a courtesy call and inform them. I think it's covered under the Vienna Convention.
And with that, they were rounded up and summoned to the county offices in a brief meeting that lasted minutes, after which they were forced to leave the county.
Can you tell us about your meeting with the governor?
It was very nice to meet the governor, deputy governor.
A statement from the British High Commission spokesman sent to newsrooms today details the event yesterday, falling short of detailing frustrations by foreign missions operating in the country in the face of increasing anti-West rhetoric in certain areas of the country.
We want the president to come to parliament and tell us and outline Kenya's foreign policy and let us know if it has changed and whether we have made the West our enemies.
We are like family, and our footsteps have moved forward together, and I hope that they are as strong for the next 50 years as they have been for the past 50 years.
It is the perceived growing of intolerance that is worrying, and the Code Coalition is raising concerns, saying if these acts are not discouraged, they could spell doom to the country. James Smart, KTN.
The Big Q in association with Kenya Power.
Right, so that story by James Smart leads us to a big question tonight, in which we ask, do you agree with Uasin Gishu County government's decision to eject UK diplomats? Do you agree with Uasin Gishu County government's decision to eject UK diplomats? That's our big Q tonight. You can text us. The number is 22155, 22155. You can tweet me at Betty Kyalo or at KTN Kenya, and we'll be glad to share your views during this newscast. Now, in The Hague, there is little indication yet of any progress by Kenya in her quest to amend the ICC treaty. Civil society groups have opposed the move, saying it would entrench impunity. The discussions went on as Deputy President William Ruto returned to the Dutch city for his trial. And as KTN's Wilson Buru now reports, that case is due to adjourn until January next year.
At the ICC chambers, Deputy President William Ruto returned to his space after a trip to Kenya that was the subject of a heated debate here for the last few days. But Kenya's attempt to stop this case and that facing President Uhuru Kenyatta is not any better off even at the ongoing meeting of state parties to the Rome Statute. At today's session, civil society groups protested the proposed amendment of the article, saying President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy were indicted by the ICC while they were still ordinary citizens. The assembly is mandated with debating issues of concern to the various member states. Recommendations are then given to the UN Security Council, which is the only body that can make any amendments to the Rome Statute.
Your Honours, we put forward...
At the trial of Deputy President William Ruto, judges announced that proceedings would be adjourned after the current witness 535 is done giving his account.
We will plan to proceed for 3 weeks. Again, pending the developments in the Kenyatta case. The difficulty, of course, is that, as you know, the two cases share personnel, possibly courtroom.
President Kenyatta's trial is scheduled to commence on the 5th of February 2014 and is expected to alternate with the hearings in the Ruto and Sang case because of the common personnel and logistical support for the two cases. But all that will depend on whether Kenya manages some diplomatic or legal coup before then. President Uhuru Kenyatta's date with the ICC is fast approaching, but even with some of the setbacks already suffered, especially with the United Nations Security Council, you can expect that the government will do everything in its power to ensure that the head of state does not go to The Hague for his trial. Wilson Buru, KTN, Nairobi.
Now, former Juja Member of Parliament George Thuo was laid to rest today after a funeral ceremony attended by dignitaries, among them President Uhuru Kenyatta. Leaders remembered Thuo as a man who spoke his mind and made an impression that lasted beyond his brief stint in Parliament. Thuo died on Sunday night under unclear circumstances. Wilkis Nyabo attended the funeral service and now reports.
Family members and dignitaries gathered at the Thika Sports Club to pay their last respects to former Juja Member of Parliament and prominent businessman George Thuo. In the midst of their sorrow, they celebrated the life of a man they described as humorous with a larger-than-life personality.
Somebody somewhere said here, the only thing you used to fear is God, electricity, and hot politics.
George Thuo served as MP and government chief whip between 2008 and 2010 when he lost the seat after losing an election petition. Yet even before his election, he had been active in politics. He was the first to arrive at the scene when Kibaki suffered an accident right in the middle of his campaign.
He said, "Chairman, are you okay?" And my dad said, he said, "George, I'm not okay." George replied, "Be calm. We must remain calm at all times." And my dad responded, "George, I'm calm all the time. Just get me out of this wreck so we can continue with the campaign."
After he was ousted, he remained a close friend and advisor to President Uhuru Kenyatta.
People would argue that Shunimwite is arrogant. But the truth of the matter is, it was not arrogance. It was just clarity. And he couldn't understand why you couldn't understand what he was saying.
During his short stint as MP, Thuo served as government chief whip alongside Jakoyo Midiwo, the pair tasked with bringing together a divided house, a role Jakoyo would reprise at the funeral.
George was concerned that this country cannot afford the political structure. You need money to do schools, you need to do health, you need to do infrastructure. And you can't do it if all your money is going in salaries.
Later in the day, Thuo was laid to rest at his home in a burial ceremony attended only by close friends and family members. The cause of his death is still unclear. Thuo collapsed while having drinks with friends in Thika town and was later pronounced dead. He is survived by a widow and 3 children. Though he only served briefly as Member of Parliament for Juja, friends, family and dignitaries who gathered to mourn him remembered him as a man who made a lasting impression, now giving him the final send-off. Wilkis Nyabo, KTN in Thika.
Now, the immediate former Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula has been cleared to defend his seat in the upcoming by-election by his co-principals in the coalition, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, were with Wetangula as he rolled out the coalition's campaigns. And as KTN's Francis Ontomo reports from Bungoma, URP's Boni Halwale defied his party to drum up support for Wetangula.
The official campaign period for the Bungoma Senate seat by-election slated for December 19 started today, with all the 4 candidates campaigning in different parts of the country. Immediate former Senator Moses Masika Wetangula was cleared by IEBC earlier in the day, making him the 4th candidate after yesterday's clearance of Musikari Kombo, David Makali and Wakoli Bifoli.
Mimi niliwaambia watu wa Bungoma, mliopiga kura Bungoma hamjahama. Mupo, kama ni msitu ni ule ule, kama ni wanyama wale wale.
Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka led the CORD brigade in the campaigns and showed solidarity with their CORD co-principal.
Mbuzi hawezi kupata haki kwa mahakama ya ofisi. Tukasema tutaenda kwa mahakama ya wananchi. We are going to appeal in the court of the public opinion.
Mnajua kwamba kunajisiwa kwa hali ya demokrasia, raping of our democracy. Imekuwa raped hapa kwa makotini na hapa kotini. Tutaangalia hapa.
Wetangula lost his seat following a successful poll petition by former cabinet minister Musikari Kombo of the New Ford Kenya party. Kakamega Senator Betty Kyalo of UDF, who was yesterday suspended from the party that sponsored him to parliament, was in the court entourage drumming support for Wetangula, while his party was campaigning for Muskari Kombo in Webuye.
Ukweli ni huu, na mheshimiwa aliyekuwa prime minister yuko hapa, he will bear me the witness. Michael kijana wa Malwa alikataa kupeana nomination certificate kwa mheshimiwa Muskari Kombo.
Political analysts say Bungoma's by-election will be a test of ODM and UDF's strength in Western Kenya, with friends turned rivals Raila and Musalia to prove who is the king of Western.
Mimi na Kalonzo tutaongoza kutukiwa nje, lakini Wetangula aingie ndani kule. Hawa ndio kiongozi wa code katika bunge. Sasa hii jambo mnafanya ni wanataka kumtoa yeye ili sisi zote watatu tuwe nje ya bunge.
Elsewhere in Webuye, Kombo's campaigns gathered momentum a day after he was cleared by IEBC. He campaigned on a platform of restoring security in Bungoma, further promising of staging a peaceful vote hunt in the coming days. Bungoma is largely cosmopolitan, though the Bukusu sub-tribe of the Luya dominates.
Nataka kuikomboa kutoka kwa wale ambao majambazi ambao wanataka kuleta insecurity katika Bungoma.
The intricate political terrain that is Bungoma County will no doubt provide a tough test for the 4 aspirants. However, whoever will be able to endear theft to the minority communities, the Teso, the Sabauti and the Tachoni, will perhaps carry the day. Francis Ontomwa, KTN, Bungoma.
To the corridors of justice now, and the Industrial Court has declined to reinstate Gladys Boschele as court registrar pending the hearing of a case she has filed in court. The court said it could not return Shole to her old job until the case challenging her dismissal is resolved. But as KTN's Catherine Omontho reports, the judge questioned the method used to dismiss Shole.
Chief Registrar had 2 simple prayers for the court: to stop the recruitment of her replacement and to have her job back. But Justice Nduma Nderi said his hands were tied since the main case against the Judicial Service Commission was still pending.
The court shall not grant an ex parte order.
The law provides for a 3-year period in which an aggrieved employee can be reinstated, and according to Justice Nduma, no irreparable damage has been caused. The judge's ruling appeared to suggest that the Judicial Service Commission did not use due process in dismissing the registrar, saying that Shole was not given a fair hearing by the very same body that recommended her appointment.
The full court can exercise its discretion to make an order.
Shole's lawyers welcomed the ruling, saying it supported their key arguments, but they are taking it to the next step.
We are operating under new dispensation. In the previous labor laws in this country, reinstatement was given cautiously.
Si wanaenda koti ya rufaa. Walisema hivyo. Kwa hivyo tutakutana huko.
Shole's representatives feel that she can be reinstated and forced on compulsory leave if the Judicial Service Commission feels that she would interfere with ongoing investigations. Though the ruling did not favor Shole, her lawyers believe that it brought out issues that could help her case when the petition starts on the 24th of January 2014. On a side note, the Ombudsman is scheduled to be enjoined onto the case as a friend of the court. Catherine Omontho, KTN in Nairobi.
Just a small correction before we continue. Betty Kyalo is from UDF and not URP as earlier mentioned. Now, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, is warning of food shortage and high food prices in the country come next year. FAO has cited unpredictable rainfall patterns, high prices of farm inputs and certified seeds, and the lethal maize disease as some of the main challenges facing the agriculture sector.
Joseph Kibet has lived off this farm for years in Kenya's breadbasket county of Uasin Gishu. But today, as he harvests his produce, Joseph is not a content farmer. This year's yield is little, and he knows it won't be business as usual.
Wakulima wengi walichelewa kupanda kwa sababu ya kuchelewa kwa fertilizer ama mbolea, na pia ilipofika ni kwamba mvua ilikuwa imenyesha na wengi hasa ambao walipanda nyuma hawakupata mazao ambayo ilitoshana
kiwango ambacho angeweza kutoa.
His worries are confirmed by a report from the United Nations that warns of a looming food shortage come next year. This, the expert blame on insufficient rainfall and other problems.
The short trend is not going to perform very well. There is a very high likelihood from April next year, 2014, we should expect some high food prices because of this shortage that we are likely to see.
Lakini hii mwaka mvua imechiji sana, iko kidogo sana, hatuna mafuno mazuri kwa mashamba yetu.
Kenyans' over-reliance on maize will make the situation even more dire.
The Kenyan population requires 36 million bags in a year of maize. And when we look at what we are going to produce, about 24 million bags, and many the communities are now relying on maize as their staple food, that's why we quickly are able to say there will be a food shortage, because we have not transited totally from maize to other crops.
The officials from Food and Agricultural Organization, in collaboration with the government of Kenya and other development partners, are on a one-week exercise of assessing food security status in various parts of the country.
We're also going to come up with 3 unique products. That is the National Cereals Balance Sheet. We're also going to come up with the Milk Balance Sheet and the Fish Balance Sheet. This will give us a snapshot information in terms of how the country is doing as per now, and also projected to 6 months from now.
In 2011, 3.5 million Kenyans, mainly in northern Kenya, faced imminent starvation and death as Kenya experienced its worst drought in 6 decades. Most Kenyans rely on maize and ugali as the national staple food. Therefore, a shortage in maize supply raises alarms. But perhaps at such times, Kenyans ought to look into adopting alternative foods such as cassava and potatoes that are resistant to changing weather conditions. Sharon Mumanyi, KTN, Nairobi. All manduli.
Mandulais.
Absolutely. You are a force to reckon with. Is it what you eat, what you wear, what you drink? Everywhere you go, you just attract attention. Look at all these guys in studio right now who are just staring.
It is the totalness of a black woman. Mm-hmm. You know, she is black, beautiful and proud. And she gets better with age, like good wine. Yes, yes. And you see, when other women wilt, when they wilt and sink into themselves with pity, a black woman with everyday flowers. We flower with time.
Just like you.
Yeah, we flower with time.
You look amazing.
Because the black woman is natural.
Yes.
I mean, she is natural.
Yes.
And as she gets older, she has more time now on her hands. I had babies, she had babies, she had the growing up to do the cooking and all. She gets older, her children cook for her. Yeah.
So she doesn't.
And, you know, she doesn't need to run the kitchen every time her children cook for her. And, you know, a black woman is appreciated as she gets. That is how now, when she looks around and she sees little ones who look a bit like her, you know, it just brings out
joy.
Yeah, joy.
And pride.
Yeah, because, you know, we are not ashamed of, shall I put it this way, a black woman grows old gracefully.
Gracefully.
And the headscarf makes her even more graceful. Look at you now. I have just brought style into KTN. And I'm sure that Standard Media will be looking for me for further improvement generally. Not just for Friday briefing.
Not just for Friday briefing. Everyone should get a bit of swag.
A bit of swag.
Good. So how long does it take you to dress up? Hours?
It is a... No, absolutely not. It's done in a jiffy.
In a jiffy?
Yeah.
All this?
Because, absolutely in a jiffy, because you see, the African woman is not complicated. She is natural. Her things are there naturally. Like I came and addressed you in no time at all. I had your headscarf done.
Yes.
Did it take forever? No. So, I mean, we are always rushing, doing something, going to the shamba. Like me as farmer, I have to run, come to the house, entertain, cook for my children, cook for my guests.
Yes.
Give instructions to the boss of the farm, but all the time, mama. And you know, you do everything in a jiffy.
Are you a hard woman to please? Because someone might, I don't know, many men might just be scared or might get cold feet just before. What is your ideal man? Maybe you should tell us what your ideal man is.
My ideal man is confident.
Confident, just like
my ideal man is unique, sure of themselves. There must never be a photocopy. My ideal man is gentle, attentive, caring for his lady.
Yes.
A woman is like a delicate flower.
Yes.
You have to tend her gently. You have to water her. You know, you have to be kind.
You have to be kind.
For me, the perfect gentleman is a kind person.
Okay.
I mean, women wilt in harshness and hardness. I wish men knew how beautiful their wives would stay if they showed them, they gave them oodles of kindness, oodles of attention. If they egged them on and let them be, like I've let you be tonight.
Yes.
With this headscarf, look at yourself. Look at how you're glowing.
Yeah. Okay, so now do you miss politics? Then what do you think of the current women we have in leadership? Do you miss being, in active politics?
No.
You don't?
I don't miss being active politics.
Yes.
I'm doing more right now without being at the center of it. I'm doing much more because I have the time to think. When you are at the center stage, you have no time to think. You're surrounded. You're completely you're muffled. You really can't. This is now when I realize how wonderful it is. I watch these women at the center stage and I say, good, they're just carrying on with my work. That's what I started. I gave them the confidence. I gave them the oomph. I gave them the oomph. I told them it can be done, and they're doing it now. And I watch, and when any of them goes wrong, I find a way of reaching them and say, hi, not like that.
Yes.
Do it this way.
Yes.
Because they're like a pot I made.
Yes.
So I know exactly how the pot should look.
Yes.
If the pot is not shiny, we shine it a bit.
You shine it a bit, you polish it.
But I think that this is a product, the present woman at the center stage of politics is a product of many decades of hard work by women long before me.
Yes.
My mother's age, my grandmother's age. My two grandmothers were amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, my own amazing. I mean, the confidence and the oomph comes from them. My own mother and her ilk and her age mates are absolutely amazing.
Amazing.
Her age mates are like Phoebe Sio, Mama Phoebe Sio, Mama Grace of God. Look at that, and they're still around.
They're still around
to help us on, to correct us, to give us, to show us the way.
Okay.
We still are a long way to go.
We have to.
And I saw it at the debate with the marital debate. I realized we have a long way.
We'll get to that in just a short while. But for now, we want you to introduce a certain story to our viewers, the millions who are watching. So you'll use this camera, camera 2 with a beautiful lady behind, and you will take us through that story.
Right.
Enjoy it, and I'll rate you right after you.
Yeah, you will rate.
I will rate you.
I think, Betty, I may be rating you tonight. Watch out.
All right. And introduce yourself. Yes, just begin. Yeah.
Well, let's now take you to Kenya's wild northwest, where residents of Samburu have now given a new name to Prince George of Cambridge. The young royal is now Prince George Lomnyak. The 4-month-old boy got that name at an elaborate ceremony in the county. And get this, the parents of the young boy, Prince William, and his wife were also given, now this is lovely, 3 bulls, a heifer, and an expectant goat. But the carol, as Carol Nderi reports. Carol Nderi was there and she reports that is what happened. I don't know why it was many bulls and one heifer. I think it should have been more heifer than one bull. Now, the lovely animals will get to England. How they'll get to England, I think that one can be sorted out by the embassy here. They'll let us know how to get them there, but I don't think it's a big deal to get them to England.
The birth of Prince George of Cambridge on July 22nd this year undoubtedly elicited excitement not just in the United Kingdom. The ripples seem to have reached the Samburu people too here in Kenya. And while the 4-month-old royal baby might have been playing in his crib at the Kensington Palace, oblivious to the happenings in Wamba area of Kenya, at a special Thanksgiving ceremony, Prince George got a new name. To the Samburu, he is now Prince George Lomnyak. Lomnyak meaning the Blessed One. And it is not just a new name he got. In African culture, the birth of a baby is celebrated in pomp, color, and gifts for the baby. And that is exactly what happened in Namunyak village in Wamba.
We pulled our little resources to see that Prince George Lomnyak William get our gift, however small it is. That is our culture.
The infant and his parents, Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge, got 3 bulls, a heifer, and an expectant goat. British High Commissioner Dr. Christian Turner was present at the function to collect the gifts on behalf of the royal family. The Samburu elders resolved to bless the young couple as a way of saying thank you for the hospitality shown by his father, Prince Charles, when he visited Leshore when he got shot in a robbery incident in Nairobi that left him and Lagdera MP Mohammed Shidie confined in a wheelchair. Dr. Turner said the ties between Kenya and the UK are firm.
Let these ties, the royal ties with the Samburus and Namunyak, let be extended across Kenya.
Today, the Britain-Kenya relationship is a modern one. It is based on mutual respect, on partnership and shared interests. And it is very much my goal to see that relationship ever strengthened and ever deepened.
The strong ties we have, we want to establish a linkage with the UK government, with our partners, particularly as mentioned, on issues to do with tourism, on issues to do with conservation.
The Samburu people, who are strict custodians of their culture, were especially thrilled when word reached them that a male child had been born to the young couple. Under their culture, a child is given a name and a calf to help him jumpstart his life. Dr. Turner, who read part of his statement in Kiswahili, said he was privileged to receive the gifts on behalf of the royal family.
Shukuru nyote sana sana kwa kujitolea kwenu, ukarimu wenu na pia kwa zawadi zenu.
Carol Nderi for KTN in Samburu.
Right, I think you did so well.
What rating?
Let's see.
If I stop farming, would I get a job?
I think
Somebody
you would.
Tell me quickly.
I
When
think
I
you would.
retire from farming, might I get a job here?
I think you just might.
And
I
give
think you might
take you to Kita.
And the good thing is you're giving us the pauses so that we, we internalize the message.
Farming does not diminish a woman. It enhances her.
Yes.
It does not diminish
It does
her
not.
in any way.
Great. Now, Ambassador, there's a fascination about your legs, and you promise people something. So I don't know. Maybe you should you should advise women what exactly we should do to have some nice, youthful legs like that.
Well, the women should first of all take care of them.
Okay.
Even me, who is a farmer, has to be in thorny areas. I have to make sure they are not scratched. Then there must be moisturized. Moisturization is very important. Like everything, tend to them. Because in Africa, legs are very important.
They're very important.
In Africa, the legs are more important than faces.
Than faces?
Yes.
They
so
call
they
it...
have to be tended. And I think Betty Kyalo should be insured.
I think we should insure
the two
them.
pairs need insurance.
I think so.
Yes?
I think so too.
Yes.
In my mom's place where she comes from, they call it Indumbu.
Now, your mom comes from where my grandmother came from.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a coincidence that some genes. Yes. Your mom came from Huisero.
Yes.
My great grandmother came from Huisero.
That's
the woman
why.
I'm named after.
Really?
So I think the genes here did cross.
Did cross. I like that. So we use moisturizer.
Moisturize them well. And exercise them too.
Exercise them.
Yes.
Run a little bit.
Yes, exercise them too. Don't let them be lazy.
All right, now
they improve with activity.
Okay.
Yes.
There's one question we have a couple of questions from our viewers. And Miriam Millie wants to know how old you are.
Miriam Millie, I should have taught you earlier, but I've been trying, and now I'm going to teach you here in this public school of KTN. A woman's age is never asked for. And Miriam Millie, don't ever tell anybody your age. A woman is ageless, particularly if she's African. Completely ageless.
Okay.
As I said earlier, the older she gets, the
like
better
wine.
She gets.
Great.
I mean, age has no sting on a black woman. So, Miriam Millie,
don't
keep your age to yourself and your mom.
Okay. Don't say anything. No. Right, we'll be coming back to you, Ambassador. Just sit tight and enjoy. Let's just take one story and then we'll come back to you. Right, now the clamor for more freedom began soon after independence when the first Vice President Jaramogi Oginga Odinga differed with founding President Jomo Kenyatta and coined a clarion call, not yet Uhuru. The Kanu regime was forced to repeal Section 2A of the Constitution in 1991 and make Kenya a multi-party state after sustained pressure from the opposition, clergy, civil society, and the international community. Our senior reporter Patrick Amimo has more on the push for plural politics as Kenya marks 50 years of independence.
The Republic of Kenya was founded under a multi-party system. The Kenya African National Union, KANU, was the ruling party, while Kenya African Democratic Union, KADU, formed the opposition. But soon, KADU joined KANU to make Kenya a single-party state. A few years later, founding President Jomo Kenyatta differed with the first Vice President Jaramogi Oginga Odinga over ideological reasons. Jaramogi parted ways with Kenyatta in 1966 after a conference in Limuru settled on 8 regional vice presidents, which watered down Jaramogi's influence. Jaramogi ditched KANU and formed the Kenya People's Union. In 1969, Kenyatta banned Jaramogi's party KPU, detained its leaders, and called elections in which only KANU was allowed to participate, and effectively turning Kenya into a one-party state. Indeed, the Independence Constitution was amended to strengthen presidential powers.
Devolution of power was taken away, Senate was dissolved, the regional governments were dissolved, and the power was concentrated at the presidency.
President Kenyatta died in August 1978 and was succeeded by Daniel Moi. In 1982, multipartyism was banned and KANU remained the only ruling party. Some politicians who were perceived to be anti-establishment were arrested and detained. In 1988, KANU introduced queue voting system where secret ballots were no longer used. The elections were criticized as shambolic. The church strongly criticized the government over the Mlolongo elections where KANU engaged in massive rigging. Kenyan Anglican clergy like the late Archbishops Manasseh Kuria and David Gitari and late Anglican bishops Henry Okulu and Alexander Muge used the pulpit to oppose the Mlolongo voting system and advocate for a multi-party system. Timothy Njoya of the Presbyterian Church was also the other clergy who used the pulpit to shape the political destiny of Kenya by fearlessly pointing out the excesses of the ruling class. In July 1990, opposition politicians led by Jaramogi Oginga, Kenneth Matiba, Charles Rubia, Ahmed Bahamariz, Masinde Muliro, and Martin Shikuku, in the company of young Turks led by James Orengo and Raila Odinga, stormed Kamukunji grounds to crusade for introduction of plural politics. This marked the first Sabasaba Day and a second liberation. Police violently dispersed the demonstrators. Matiba, Jaramogi, Rubia and other activists were arrested and detained. International pressure came to bear, and international aid to Kenya was suspended in 1990.
Tuondoe ile section ya katiba ya Kenya ya 2A.
In December 1991, at a KANU delegates meeting at Kasarani Stadium, then President Daniel Moi convinced delegates to repeal Section 2A of the Constitution, thereby making Kenya a multi-party state. The presidential tenure was also set to a maximum of 2 terms. In the 1992 multi-party elections, the major opposition, the Forum for the Restoration of Democracy (FORD), could not agree on a leader to challenge KANU. FORD split into 3 parties and Daniel Moi won the elections with just 1/3 of the total vote. In the run-up to the 1997 elections, there was another clamor for more reforms from the opposition that had been unable to eject KANU from power. The focus now was on a new constitutional dispensation. Had KANU goons clobbered joy at Parliament during the Sabasaba 7th anniversary when Kenyans agitated to have the constitution overhauled before the elections. The government, which was keen to silence opposition, even used KANU youth wingers to mete violence on Kenyans agitating for an expanded democratic space.
That was like birth pains. It's like a maternity ward for us to deliver a new Kenya.
Multipartyism only opened up the space to increase the political parties, but it did not respond to the fundamental issues of governance in this country.
KANU defeated the opposition in 1997, but in the run-up to the 2002 elections, several opposition parties led by popular leaders agreed on a united front to defeat KANU. The National Rainbow Coalition (NAC) was born with Mwai Kibaki as torchbearer. Kibaki whipped KANU's Uhuru Kenyatta and formed the NAC government. And to further strengthen pluralism, Kenya adopted a new constitution in August 2010 following the 2007 post-election violence.
We now need to look at the fundamental issues of the economy, employment for young people.
Kenyans have witnessed positive gains under the multi-party system.
Kenya are much more freer and aware of their sovereignty. But the most disappointing thing is that we have a rogue parliament. Therefore, it's as if we are being held hostage by the behavior of parliament, insistent of having more money, and yet we are fighting for the poor to have jobs.
We now have a more accountable governance. President Uhuru, for example, cannot do the things Moi used to do.
The struggle for multipartyism was not easy. Some people lost their lives, others were detained. And even as Kenyans enjoy the expanded democratic space, there's need to be vigilant to ensure that the democratic gains are not reversed. Patrick Amimo, KTN, Nairobi.
Good evening. This is a Friday briefing business beat. My name is Boni Tunya. Now, the cabinet approved additional expenditures amounting to 115.9 billion shillings under the supplementary budget. Now, the funds, according to the cabinet, will cater for salary-related expenses at 18 billion shillings, operational and maintenance at 8.2 billion shillings, ongoing new projects at 87.9 billion shillings. Now, as a way of containing expenses, the Ministry of Devolution and Planning has been directed to freeze new recruitment, suspend adjustment of salaries and allowances, and reclassification and creation of new state corporation. Now, the cabinet further approved the amendment County Allocation of Revenue Act factor and annual donor funding requirement for ongoing projects. That is according to the new cabinet resolutions as at this afternoon. Elsewhere, the United States has pledged 25 million shillings hived off its presidential emergency plan for aid to be cancelled and rather channeled to assisting 30 youth circles across 30 counties in Kenya. The project involves a partnership with the Coca-Cola Foundation and targets young women to help them set up small businesses. Here now is KTN's Fredo Mulo with that report.
The tripartite partnership between USA, the Coca-Cola Foundation and the National Youth Bunge Association aims at increasing economic opportunities for 5,000 eligible Youth Bunge members in 30 counties.
And it is great to see so many bright and promising young people here. Your presence is really, it's an inspiration, it's inspiring. It's very important, I think, particularly because of some of the challenges that Kenya faces.
The Coca-Cola Foundation, through its 5x20 initiative that seeks to economically empower 5 million women entrepreneurs globally by 2020, will participate in the project by providing coolers and other equipment to young women, all of whom belong to Youth Bunge SACCOs.
We have identified 3 key areas in 5x20 that we know women entrepreneurs need. 1, business skills training. 2, women need access to capital. And 3, women need mentoring and networks. We know we can provide the capital.
The project becomes the latest development in USAID's Yes Youth Can program, through which the National Youth Bunge Association has managed to attract 30,000 youth across the country who have joined local SACCOs and open savings accounts. For KTN Business, I am Fredo Mulo.
British explorer Tullow Oil has discovered and sampled movable oil within an estimated 100 meters of net oil pay in a good quality sandstone reservoir at the Agete 1 exploration well block in Block 13T onshore of the northern Kenya. Now, the Agete 1 wildcat well is part of Tullow's exploration campaign that has so far made the 5th consecutive oil discovery for the first of the chain of multiple rift basin across northern Kenya. Tullow operates the Agete 1 well with a 50% interest, and Africa Oil also having 50% stake but with a non-operated interest. Work on the new well is expected to commence next week. Right, as we draw the week to an end, let's take a look at the other business news that made headlines across the country. Here now is Philip Keitani with a business wrap.
Working now, I guess.
Shareholders of Uchumi Supermarket will soon be able to buy more of the supermarket chain once a rights issue is listed at the Securities Exchange. The supermarket says it will be issuing 100 million more shares, which will be cross-listed across the East African securities. Uchumi, which has 29 branches spread out in Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, also plans to venture into Southern Sudan and Rwanda, with the additional capital from the rights issue used to open at least 13 more branches in the next financial year. The chain has approved a financial dividend of 30 cents per ordinary share of 5 shillings. Overall winner. And finally, Safaricom has awarded 6 early-stage technology companies with a cumulative cash prize of 3.7 million shillings in the just concluded Safaricom AppWiz Developers Challenge. The challenge was designed to help local developers from startups and partner with industry players in offering enterprise solutions. The contest has been running for 6 months and now has attracted 1,569 applications and 274 mobile-based ideas. Philip Keitan, KTN Business.
It is that time that we talk about numbers with a look at how your money is working for you in the Financial Markets Review, coming up next.
The Financial Report in association with Total. At Total, we provide high-quality fuels to all our customers, even the most demanding ones. Total, you know where to turn. Association with Total. At Total, we provide high-quality fuels to all our customers, even the most demanding ones. Total, you know where to turn. KTN Business, in association with Safaricom Self-Care.
To get your M-Pesa statement, PUK, Bongo Points and more without calling customer care or visiting a Safaricom shop, simply log on to www.safaricom.co.ke and click on Self-Care.
Well, that's how we wrap business for this week on the day that Kabas, it was the best performing counter, moving up 9%. Now we'll see you again next week, but back to Betty and the real African woman.
Thank you very much, Tunya.
Sports now. Youngsters Leonard Mugaisi and Humphrey Mulama are the new inclusions in the national sevens squad for the twin IRB sevens legs in Dubai and South Africa. Head coach Paul True entrusted the duo with enormous responsibility to fill the gaps left by unavailable Billy Odhiambo and Oscar Ouma. It will be Paul True's first assignment as Kenya's head coach. After a tedious training schedule and change of tactics with the team, the new man on the block, Paul True, unveiled his 12-man squad who will pick up from where Felix Ochieng, now his assistant, left during the first leg in Australia last month. Drew has been with the team for slightly over 2 weeks now, but he says he understands the Kenyan team. He picked out the defense department as being the weak link, but promised to fix it.
The bulk of our time we spent on our defensive effort and just our understanding of what other outcomes that we would like to achieve when it comes to our defensive abilities. But in terms of our attacking play, I think there's still room for improvement. I think we've introduced a lot of new things.
KCB RFC's Andrew Amonde retained his armband with the veteran Collins Injera deputizing. Save for the two Rockies in Leonard Mugaisi and Humphrey Mulama, the rest of the team has enough exposure to better Gold Coast results. Oscar Ouma and Billy Odhiambo will spectate since they are busy with school programs. With New Zealand in the same group with Kenya, agility and speed will be the key ingredients for Kenya to offer quality opposition.
It is a mix, of experience and youth, and it's also a mix between players who are physical runners and players with speed and agility. So I think we have quite a nice blend, within the team.
Winning 1, 2, 3 legs, that would be a big boost to Kenya's participation. It has been long in coming, but I can see it, I can smell it.
The team departs on Sunday 24th for Dubai, after which they'll fly to South for the third leg of the IRB series. The Dubai leg will go down from 29th November to 30th November, while the South Africa assignment takes place from 7th December to 8th of December. Although the best with the team now, lack of experience and exposure has been pointed out as the reason behind Kenya's below par performance at the 2013 Africa Hockey Cup of Nations. Kenya won 2 bronze medals this afternoon after the women's team whitewashed Tanzania's their male counterpart sewing off Ghana. The championships concludes tomorrow at the City Park Stadium.
Not even the cheers from the home fans could help steer the Kenyan teams to the Africa Cup of Nations hockey finals that have been going on at the City Park Hockey Stadium for the past 5 days. There have been a lot of praises on the physical aspects of the Kenyan teams, but they have unfortunately had to play catch-up against more experienced and exposed opponents who eventually emerged victorious.
It's a really difficult game today, playing against the Kenyan side. Exceptionally motivated and started the game really well. Put us under pressure, and I think our girls were a little bit intimidated at the start of the game. And
I also congratulate the Kenyan team because they played well.
It will be important to note that while some of the participating nations have been taking part in the World Hockey League, which is an equivalent of the Rugby IRB series, the Kenyan sides have had to make do with friendlies against local teams as part of their build-up for the tournament. Kenya is actually playing in the Continental Showpiece after missing the last edition 2 years ago due to lack of funding.
We have great players with excellent skills. All we need is just exposure. Like all other teams in the world, the national team play minimum of 20 matches in a year.
The consolation will be the bronze medals the two teams won on Friday. The men's third place finish came after whipping Ghana and was particularly a spectacular display of tactics from the host in what may be termed as a case of too little, too late. Italy-based Barnabas Odhiambo scored twice to give Kenya a 2-0 lead in the match, with 2 more goals from brothers Davis and Franklin Wanangwe sending Ghana home empty-handed.
We are going back home and try to bring the other 21 guys who are currently going to take over from the senior side.
The women on the other side demolished Tanzania 12-0 to grab the bronze, which was a downgrade from the silver medal glory in 2009. Saturday will see men's defending champion South Africa take on Egypt in the finals, while in the women's finals, South Africa will be playing Ghana. Lynn Washira, KTN Sports Today.
And to motorsport now. Multiple Kenyan Valley champion Ian Duncan snatched the lead from Sweden's Stig Blomqvist after the end of the second day of the 6th Classic Safari Rally, which crossed to Tanzania this morning back to Kenya. The drivers covered 2 tough stages at Wundani and Mali today. The closing stage in Tanzania, which was supposed to run at C6, was made to run as a transport road section as directed by the clerk of the course, Richard Leake from South Africa. Duncan set the second fastest stage time in CS4 in Wundani. All right, after international break, the English Premier League is resuming tomorrow. Actually, you have crucial matches. Arsenal will be taking on Southampton, while Liverpool open the day against Everton. We'll brief you all the results tomorrow. Be sure to join us on KTN Sports Final. I'm Nicholas Mudimba. Have yourself a great night.